That's a cute.
Hey, welcome back to the Fairly Odd Co-Parents. I'm Nessa.
And I am Ronnie.
And we are the Fairly Odd Co-Parents. Welcome back, guys, to our third episode. Yeah, we are very excited. And so I hope everybody got a chance to watch our second episode and listen in. Started following us on social media. All the things. And so, as usual, we'll begin with our dad joke of the week.
Yes, get up for it. All right, today's dad joke of the week is, what's a redhead's favorite drink?
I feel victimized by this joke. Like, is this joke about me? Is that what? Because I'm a redhead? Because our children are redheads?
No.
Is it about our ginger children?
It's not. It's not about. We all have our hair colors.
Our Shirley Temple.
A redhead's favorite drink is Shirley Temple. That's a good one. No, it's ginger tea.
Okay. Hats off to that. Yeah. Nice.
Shirley Temple's good. Damn, kind of. I'm a little upset about that now.
Kind of want some Shirley Temple. Okay. All right. Nice. Good one. Boom. Boom. No? Ollie. Anywho. Well, so as we said, we are going to also be sharing our co-parent story of the week. And so please send those in and we can start sharing stories that are going on with you in your blended family, single parent stories, blended family stories, traditional family stories even, and let us know what's going on with you guys. And so we wanted to share our very fun-filled weekend. As you all saw, we had a packed weekend that had all of us involved. We went to the San Antonio Rodeo.
Well, hold on. So our weekend included me, you, our two boys, Armani and Sebastian, and then also Eduardo, his two kids, and then we also brought along your niece.
That's right.
So we had a herd.
We had a battalion.
We had a battalion, and we went ham. We went ham this weekend, and it was so much fun. I had so much fun this weekend. Yeah. It was physical, but great.
I'm starting to realize our weekend started on Friday because you and Eduardo had a daddy date where you guys took the kids to Pokemon tournament.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot what we did on Friday.
Yeah. You guys had Pokemon tournament. Our kids love to do Pokemon.
Yeah. There were so many nerds. It was crazy.
I do not participate because I don't participate because I don't understand Pokemon and I don't
me either
want to understand Pokemon. Like, it's not important, not like a priority. And I kind of like that it's like something that is between you guys and the kids, and that like mom doesn't need to be involved in everything, right? So there's that. And then Saturday we went to San Antonio Rodeo. We went to the carnival. Kids got on rides. We ate some greasy, bad food, like bad for your health, not like tasted bad, but like bad for your health. We were very cold with that wonderful cold front that came in this weekend. And then Sunday,
Saturday we had the kids rode rides like the whole time we were there. They had gotten so many rides. Armani was able to accomplish or overcome a bunch of fears. Typically, he's not really into getting on rides.
No, he has a fear of heights.
Yeah, he just has a fear with some rides, and he got on a lot of them, which was great. It was so huge to see him just push past his fears. And Sebastian's always wanting to get on rides.
Daredevil that I'm like, stop, you're a baby, stop. Yeah.
I know. He was 2
Mhm.
inches too short to get on the bigger rides,
Which I
but,
am completely fine with. Like you don't need to be on that, my little thing. So, and then yeah, and then Sunday, we Sunday
we went
we went to
hiking,
yeah, we
Gardner
went
State
hiking
Park.
at Gardner State Park. Sorry. Had a blank moment
Yeah.
there. Yeah, no, we went to Gardner State Park. We went hiking. We took Eduardo's dad and his new fiance.
Mhm.
Um and so we all went and we hiked for 4 hours and trekked about 5 miles, I think is what I got recorded.
I don't even
Um
know, but all the kids were hiking, and it
mhm.
was freaking amazing. They
Yeah,
did
it was
so good.
mhm. Yeah, it
Like, they
was really
did
impressive to
really, really
watch.
good.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Huh.
we are a healthy fit family. I was like, I'm proud of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Sebastian fell in the river, like, within 10 minutes of being there right when we got there,
yeah.
and it was cold as
Eh,
heck.
survival tactic 101 between Ronnie and I came out. We were like, keep your feet like dry and let's change out your pants. And I had a long sleeve, so I somehow Jimmy rigged them into pants for him and they worked and it freaking worked. And then
It
like
worked.
every time we took a break, we were like, let's dry those feet. Let's get those feet out of those wet shoes and
Yeah.
keep those feet
Yeah.
dry. We
We put
stayed
him in the
hydrated.
sun, stayed
Mm-hmm.
hydrated. It didn't even phase him.
Nah.
That
I
boy was
mean,
all over the
in
place.
the beginning, he was like, I'm embarrassed. And I was like,
Oh,
nah,
yeah.
baby, like you look fine. But he was like rolling with it. Even Eduardo was like, I really appreciate how he like rolled with it because the kids were like, what's wrong with his butt? Like, what's that on his butt? And I was like, keep walking. Like, mind your business. And then Eduardo even was like, what's going on? And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, he's dry. Like,
Yeah, he's
let's
dry.
focus on the trail in front of us, right?
He
And
wanted
then
to hike barefoot. He
I
was like,
know.
I don't wanna wear my shoes." I was like, "Dude, bro, like,
which is
Tarzan,
which is
chill."
yes, which is where the nickname Tarzan came out because he has like his hair is like mine. He doesn't have like the white hair that I have, but he has red
He's
hair
got
like mine,
long, red, curly
long
hair.
curly hair, and he was like barefoot and he's cut. Like my 6-year-old has a six pack, which is freaking crazy. And he and like Tarzaning it up, and I'm like, no, you cannot walk barefoot. Crazy. What's wrong with you? So
It was so
yeah.
good. Such a great
It was a
weekend.
great weekend. And then you stayed Monday
Mhm.
and Monday morning we got up and you know like the kids had a 4-day weekend. So and the three of us adults sat and reflected on the weekend and gave each other feedback on grows and glows and you know how we felt it went and we had an awesome time and all three of us were like let's do more of this, right? And so I feel like every time we do those family trips, it seems to just bring us stronger, you know?
It does. It brings out, like, the best in us, and then I think it makes us tighter. And then
Mhm.
also too, like, we got to see some areas that could use some work. So we
Mhm.
got to talk about those areas, like, with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And we got to reflect on ourselves and with the kids and like,
Mhm.
hey, let's do this in order to like remedy this, situation.
Right.
Um, it was great. It was so, so great. And I applaud like you and Eduardo for allowing me to be in that space and actually like, give feedback and you guys accept it and what you do with it is what you do with it. But you guys were
Mhm.
totally open and it was amazing. It
Yeah.
was awesome.
No, I loved having you on board with us and so yeah, I agree. I feel like we are stronger together. So, yeah, for sure.
100%.
So now let's get into episode 3. And so as we talked about last week, this week we get into our divorce. Dun dun dun. And
Dun dun
uh-huh.
dun.
Where's all my like background noise and music? Like
Listen, look,
yeah.
lady. I am but a man.
I'm like, I want all the theatrics, right? No, I'm just
This
kidding.
is
I'm
what
just kidding.
is. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I got this.
You're like, what?
Oh,
Ooh, that was good. I like that one. Yeah, that
that
was good.
scares me.
You need to play with this a little more. So, I need some more off time. Yeah, no, let's talk about our divorce. And so what we want to talk about is the takeaways that we developed through our divorce and the things that we grew from it and we learned from, and again, how our journey as co-parents began, and how it continues on to this day. So um also, before I forget, as we have been talking, I've come to realize that uh I've been saying the name Junior, and nobody knows who Junior is. So Junior is Ronnie. Ronnie is Junior. They are the same person. Ronnie is a junior to his dad. And when we
Mm-hmm.
met, Ronnie was like, "You're not calling me Ronnie. You're calling me
Ronnie.
Junior." And I was like, "Nathaniel?" And you were like, "Nope, it's Junior." So I love that name. I still love that name. I still think Nathaniel is a great name.
Nothing.
But
Yeah, no, I'm good.
anyway, but yeah, so when you hear me say Junior, that's Ronnie. That is his nickname. Um, Anybody who is close to Junior knows that, like that's what we call him. That's what my bonus kids call him. They call him Junior. That's what Eduardo calls you. You're a Junior. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so Junior is Ronnie. Ronnie is Junior. So thank you
Yes.
for that tip.
Thank you for
Anyway,
clarifying.
yes. All right. So the divorce, right? So one of the things that we wanted to say was this episode is not going to be about airing out dirty laundry. It's not going to be about the cheese mess. So if that's what you're here for, I apologize for disappointing you and not living up to that expectation. But I personally feel like our reason for divorcing isn't important at this point in our life. We have healed from it and we have grown from it, and we definitely have hurt each other, and we definitely have some emotions that we'll be talking about, hardships that we're going to talk about, and the opportunities that came out of that. But the core reason for getting a divorce is just it's ugly, and it's a little not in my forte to really get into. So um
Yeah,
yeah.
it's for me, right? Like, we got divorced. We don't need to tell everybody all the details. But
Mm-hmm.
something that we are going to talk about is the raw emotions that we felt, during the relationship, divorce, because they were hard hitting. Um, they impacted us. It wasn't rainbows and sunshine, and like, it sucked. And there was a lot of hurt that we had to heal from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be our first key takeaway. Is key takeaway number one: acknowledging the hurt and healing
Mm-hmm.
eventually, because that took time.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. Yeah.
um, but I guess what I will say with that is, during our relationship, for me personally, um, I did have a lot of hurt. There was a lot of, we had stated before, right, that I didn't I wasn't very emotionally aware, and I didn't really know how to react to a lot of my own personal emotions, or even know what my personal emotions even were with some instances.
Mm.
But what I will say is, I know I felt heartbroken. I know I, felt very hurt. I felt very down. I also felt very zombie like. Um, I felt numb a lot of times too. Uh, and those things are very, very real for me. I think a lot of those things I suppressed during our marriage. Um, and to this day, I'm much more aware, and I work on them, and I pay attention to my emotions now and what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it. I will sit on it and just notice if I am off. because of, you know, a lot of these raw emotions that happened in our marriage and when we divorced.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, there was a lot of hurt. And I'll let you say your part on acknowledging the hurt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was definitely hurt by a lot of things that happened before our divorce and leading up to our divorce. It was rough. There was a lot of things that came out, and there was a lot of um for me, like it was just I felt like I couldn't trust for a long time. I couldn't trust somebody anymore, or anybody anymore. Like, who could I turn to? I lost friendships. I lost family um, out of the divorce. People choosing sides, and um, just a lot of hurt came out of that. And then when we went into our separation, leading up to our divorce, it was definitely depressed. Uh, having a newborn baby with a 3-year-old as a single mom was a huge hardship that I got to develop. I got to learn how to do all of these things. And like, I think that a part of me, I know that like during the day, I would be this strong person,
Hmm.
because life gets to move on, right? You get to go to work, and you get to get up every morning and do what you need to do. But at night was the hardest times for me when I just remember like the boys going to sleep and just it settling in, like the realization of everything settling in when the nights were quiet and the rooms were dark and there was nothing to distract me, was when the loneliness settled in, with when the hurt settled in, with when the betrayal really got to be acknowledged. Like all of those things were rough. um and of course, for me personally, social media did not help. It just kind of pushed me further into my depression, which is, I think, when I started to break away from social media, because I started to realize like this isn't healthy. This isn't helping me at all. It's just making me angrier, making me more frustrated, making me more upset. Um, yeah. So that's like for me, that was definitely those are the feelings that came up on my end.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, guys, if you guys think that, you know, if you guys maybe judging us and saying like, they didn't really go through anything, or, like they didn't overcome much, like they have such a great relationship, or like it must have not been that bad. Like we really, we really hurt each other, and we scarred each other, and, a lot of our scars have healed, and some may still be tender. Um, but I know for me personally, like even talking about this used to make me cry on the spot. Like I used to just be like I couldn't do it. Like it would just hurt me and everything would be relived, and um but we've come a long way to be able to speak on it and be okay.
Hmm.
Um so that's something to be said in itself. And that's where we we come to the key takeaway number one: acknowledging the hurt and
Hmm.
healing
It,
eventually.
one of the things that for me, like I was in the same boat, that anytime anybody asked me like what happened, and telling the story, that was telling the story over and over again sucked. But it also helped for me. It helped me heal from the betrayal that happened, and the hurt that occurred, and the more that I talked about it, the stronger I felt. Um, and so for me, like, that was my way of acknowledging my pain rather than swallowing it or pushing it down or pushing it away or distracting myself over and over. When I did have the opportunity to talk about it in a safe setting,
Hmm.
I would, and I would allow myself to just like be angry and be hurt and be upset and have that emotion. And was I angry all the time? No. I was hurt, but I didn't carry that with me forever. Um and I know that as time passed, it definitely got easier to talk about and easier to say. And I mean, people to this day still ask the story. Um and now I'm like, I'm not really interested in talking about it anymore. You know, before I was like, oh, I need to tell everybody because this is just so horrible. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm it's over. Like, it's done. You know,
Yeah.
I'm happy now. Junior's happy now. Like, we're in better places individually and as a new kind of family. So,
Yeah.
um
Yeah. I think
yeah.
for me also too, I think for me, I wouldn't share anything that happened with anyone in our marriage or divorce. Like I just, it was very, very difficult for me to even share anything with people. Um, the only person I would share things with would be myself. So I would tell myself the same stories that hurt me in our
Mhm.
relationship. I would tell
Mhm.
myself and point those things out over and over to myself. And like it would re-hurt all over again.
Mm.
And like anything I was um ashamed of or anything that I felt um embarrassed of or anything like that, I would retell myself those things and like relive those emotions. And it was very, like, very debilitating. So even though I wasn't telling other people, I was telling myself like my
Mhm.
victim stuff. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is what happened to me. And like, and it sucked, and it doesn't help with anything. And
Mhm.
moving forward, we'll future episodes we'll talk about like tools and exercises to actually get you through these types of things,
Yeah.
and what has helped us too.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's being able to actually finally talk about it in a safe setting
Mhm.
and realize that those old stories, those old experiences don't need to keep being relived or even keep
Mhm.
being brought up. Just to I can move past them and
Yeah.
know that it hurt, know I felt the way I did, and know that I get to keep pushing forward
Mhm.
and not let it control me anymore or not let it bring me down.
Mhm.
um and I think that was very huge for us, with healing.
Yeah.
um but I
Yeah.
think the next thing that really was kind of our next takeaway is, um the divorce and being separated, like that, we had to overcome a lot. That's
Mhm.
our key takeaway. Or number two key takeaway is learning to overcome.
Yeah.
um we had to do it in different ways,
Mhm.
obviously. You had the kids and I didn't.
Mhm.
um and so there's different hardships, and our lives looked a little different between the two of us. But I'll let you go
Yeah.
first on how that looked for you.
Yeah. So I ended up getting to adjust to being a single parent full time. I like I said, I had a newborn baby. Sebastian had just been born, and 3 months later, we moved out and moved into Texas. Moved back to Texas. Ronnie and I were stationed in Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina, And so reestablishing myself in Texas and finding a new job and finding a new place to live and finding my grounding as a single parent with two small children who were very, very dependent on me. You know, they were not teenagers, they were not even preteens. And so, like, having the ability to leave them home alone was not even an option, or, um, you know, putting them with some sort of like summer camp or after school program wasn't an option because they were so tiny still. And so going through learning all of that and balancing work and daycare and finding a job that was, you know, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday was a feat in itself. And for me, it was just a huge learning process that I got to grow from, and I got to adjust, and I got to become stronger for it. Um, and so that was probably the biggest hardship, um, I would say, in my life, was starting from zero, was the way that it felt. You know, when Ronnie and I got divorced, I wasn't working. I literally had just graduated from getting my undergrad degree. And so I didn't have my own money. I didn't have my own source of income. And so I was literally like starting from the ground up all over again. Ronnie got to keep the house, and you know, I was in a whole other state. So, and I had to reestablish a support system around myself also, which is vital as a single parent. Leaning on other people was really what got me through it. I honestly could not thank my mom enough. And um, my sister, my only sister Teresa, my own little sister Teresa, is somebody who supported me. My brothers, you know, my older sister Cece, like those people just surrounded me, and I was blown away by their support. And that's something that I could never forget. So for me, that was what it was like coming out of this.
Yeah, so my the things that I had to learn to overcome was that I didn't have my boys around. Um, and that was something very difficult. Um, it was difficult to so I guess this how do I say this? I think when we got divorced, I I didn't know who I was. I had no idea who I was. I didn't know what I valued, what I cared for. The only thing I really knew is that um, I was a good father. That was something that I strived to be and cared about being. And so not having my kids around was very, very difficult. It was tough to just not have them because I was so used to the smiles and the laughter and all of those things. Um, the other parts where I did have the house, I had all the bills, I had all the debt, I had all of that stuff, and on top of that, I was sending you money also. Um, so figuring out how to pay for everything was a challenge in itself too. There was times where I didn't have the money to cover everything, but I still continued to send money, and I figured out how to make the house work. I had to get a second job doing Ubering um, on my free time because otherwise I wouldn't be able to make ends meet. Um, so that was one of the things that I learned was figuring out how to make the money work. Um, and then also trying to take advantage of every opportunity I could to make it down to see the boys. Because I lived in got what, like 19-hour drive away.
Mm-hmm.
I only had so much leave I could take, but I know I spent time. You really start to realize what's important to you, like, and I realized how important those boys were to me, because I had the want, the urge, the need to be a presence in their life still. So, I would work a full day and then get out of work, drive 19 hours, and then take like a 2-hour nap on the side of the road, and then go pick up the boys and spend time with them. And I would do that, gosh, as much as I could without having to take leave, and then, take leave when I needed to. But overcoming the not being able to see them very much, overcoming the military lifestyle, overcoming making ends meet, um, also overcoming the numbness and like kind of just living and really only living for, you know, the boys. That's kind of what it was. While being divorced and being so far. Um, and I think though that kind of helped me begin to realize that, man, I get to start figuring out who I am, to start being something more than just a dad. Um, like they need me more in so many more ways. I need myself more in so many more ways. Like I need to figure some things out. Um, but yeah, so there was definitely financial hardships for both of us. One thing that I want to talk about that is difficult to talk about is finances and divorce and like child support and all of that stuff. Um, that is something that we still talk about to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Nessa recently asked for like my pay stubs so that she could make sure, child support is up to the standard it should be. And I am completely open to that. Um,
Yeah, we began to manage child support independently. We stopped using the state to use or to process our child support. We found out after using the child support office that there's all these fees that come out and there's these delays that happen. Um, and so it was putting both of us in a certain financial restraint. And so I finally was I can't wait 14 days for this check to clear. Like I have bills that I get to pay also, and like the children have daycare um fees that I have to pay. And again, reestablishing myself in the workforce also. And so Ronnie sends me money directly, but we also document it every time. And yeah, I asked for a copy of his pay once every few years, just to make sure that if some sort of legality were to come after us for whatever reason, we can show that we've been doing everything by the book, that Ronnie has been sending everything the way that he's supposed to be, and that I'm not taking more than I should or less than I should, that we're doing everything legally, and there's nothing in our divorce decree that says you have to use the state to process your child support. So that's a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't realize that utilizing the child support office is not mandatory. They're provided as a service, and so that's why there's fees that come out of it, because you are paying for that service. Since most divorced parents are not amicable and cannot, um, handle the finances that go between the two of you. And so for me, I feel like it benefits both of us, because Junior's not seeing that $150 fee come out every month, and he gets to keep that $150 in his pocket. And I'm not seeing a fee, because a fee would come out on my side also. And um,
Yeah, I think that was something that we had. That was actually something kind of early on that we kind of communicated together with, and like decided on something together, which was kind of like a precursor to us, um, working through things.
yeah,
But yeah, it really did not help. Like it hindered so much, and we both
hmm
came to the point where just like, this sucks. Like I want to give you the money. Like there was never a part of me that was like, no, like you don't
yeah,
get any of my money. Like I
right,
was like, you know what, you have my kids, like you need help with support. Like I understand. So I was always totally willing. It was just, God, they do not make it easy to get the money to the person.
yeah,
It it sucked. So we were just
hmm
like, yeah, like screw this. Like I'll send you the money when I get paid, and it worked for both of us.
yeah,
And we've just continued that from here on. But it really was a win-win for both of
hmm
us.
hmm
And we still continue to, you know, use that process today.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And so, our third takeaway that we got from our divorce is, we had a pretty like unspoken rule of what we did and didn't want the kids to see, and that is kind of the birthplace of our co-parenting relationship. And so, I know that we both tried hard not to argue in front of the kids. We still don't argue in front of our kids now. And so disagreements happen, absolutely. And we had our arguments. there was there was
yeah,
yelling. There was
yeah,
some words that were exchanged for sure. Um and we definitely tried not to do it in front of the children. Did we accomplish that every time? I don't think so. I think there were a few times where we lost our cool in front of the boys, but I know that we tried. We tried. We didn't make it like an all out, like let's just do this in front of our kids, and let's just air out everything in front of them. Um and so yeah, so that was one of the things that we chose not to do in front of our children. Um, we always tried to be very amicable at the time as well, and talk to each other with respect and courtesy at the very least.
yeah. I
Calling
think
each
like,
other names was not a thing that happened.
yeah, no, there was definitely some emotional moments, for
Mhm.
sure. I mean, there was a lot of heavy emotions, a lot of pain, and like it was going to happen.
Mhm.
But I think as time went on, our healing process started working. Um, we started kind of naturally getting into these positions of like, okay, like, we don't need to do this in front of the kids.
Yeah.
I know a lot there, like early on there was issues with me like getting time with the boys, of like giving you notice and like, hey, I'm gonna come see the boys, and like just kind of dropping it on you, and like not really giving you a heads up, and like not being able to kind of plan things around that. I think we definitely have gotten a lot better with that. I feel I have gotten a lot better at that, letting you know like, hey, I'm gonna come in town, um, next weekend or 2 weeks from now. um,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
uh,
I mean, I think I've always been really flexible every time Ronnie comes into town. I mean, the but the boys need their dad. They need to see you. They don't need just me. And I've always believed that. I've always, even when we were married and Junior was flying all the time, um, I was like, when he's home, you get to spend time with Armani, like take him on daddy dates and you guys go have your bonding experience. And when he would go pick him up, or when he would come pick him up from coming out of town, I already knew, like, it's already hard enough as it is for you to come out here. Um, when Ronnie would take those drives, what he didn't share was Ronnie would get here in the middle of the night on Fridays and come pick him up on Saturday mornings and then drop him off Sunday morning so that he could drive back to Charleston. And so for a while, I think it was like the
Yeah.
first 2 or 3 years, you only got to see them for a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that was only every few months. And so the boys would get a day with their dad.
Mhm.
And I, you know, there was bittersweet moments for me. Like, part of me was bitter because it was like, you need to see them more. Like, I need more
Yeah.
of a break. I kind of want
That's
a,
understandable.
a weekend off without, children. And not to go party, not to, just to rest, just to like,
Yeah.
and allow myself to grieve and to cry and not have to be strong all the time. But also, like, it was also like, well, he finally was able to make time and he was finally
Mhm.
able to come. And so it was a struggle with that. But yeah, I do think that, you tell me like, hey, I'm going to be coming into town this weekend, and usually whatever is happening, I think there's only been like one time that I've been like, actually we have plans.
Yeah.
So but every time I'm like, oh well, if we have plans, we can reschedule them, we can move them. Like, the boys are going to want to see you. And Eduardo is the same way. If I tell him, hey, Junior's coming into town, he's like, oh great, like, is he staying here, or is he staying with his brother? Like, do we need to make up the room for him? And so yeah.
Yeah,
um
that's a great point of like what you're talking about. Like, I totally forgot about that. Like, it was for a long period of time where I'd have like, a day and a half, and that was on top of like 19 hours to day and a half to 19 hours, and then doing it all over again, and just what's the next time? Because I was also flying. My schedule was, I was out of the country,
yeah.
uh, like a lot of the year.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot different now, thankfully.
Yeah.
So I'm able to see the boys a lot more. But I think those kind of things has helped us with just overcoming, um, like those scheduling conflicts and making
Mhm.
things work, and like communicating with each other. And then
Yeah.
also too, like when I would have them, or when finally they were able to come like home with me, once I moved to Oklahoma, that became way more feasible and doable.
Mhm.
Uh we started having these communications of like, hey, this is what's going on with the money, or hey, this is going on with Bastion. Like, hey, how do we started talking about kind of rules and things that we're doing in our own homes.
Mhm.
And it's really kind of where the co-parenting kind of dynamic for us started, was like, hey, this is what I'm doing at home, this is what's working, this is what's helping this behavior, or this is
Mhm.
what I've noticed isn't helping.
Yeah.
um and we started having those crosstalks. And
Yeah.
then
When Armani was 5, Armani started acting out pretty bad. And I didn't know what to do, to the point where Armani tore up classrooms and threw chairs. And I would get called at work. I was a pre-K teacher at the time, and I would get called from where I was teaching to like come get Armani and calm him down. And I mean, luckily Armani had me as his mom, so I knew calming techniques and grounding techniques and like how to self soothe. And so we would do all of the things, and I would tell his teacher, like, this is what's working, this is what's not working. And then I would tell Junior, like, hey, this is what's going on with Armani. And I don't know if you want me to share this or not, but, he's struggling. And, this is what's working for us, and this is what's not working for us. And I remember I was like, I'm not trying to tell you how to parent. I'm just sharing some knowledge that I have. Like, I just wanted you to know because it's helping Armani.
Mhm.
And Ronnie and Junior was never like, you don't tell me what to do. And like, I'm their dad and I know what I'm doing. That was something that was never said. And I know that things like that have been said between other couples. And personally, it's not helping anybody when you have that kind of stance. You know, if somebody is offering support and offering their help, like, the worst thing you can do is listen and
Yeah, at least consider it.
consider it. Yeah, consider it and take what's yours and leave the rest, um, and move on from there. And so it was with those kind of conversations where um Junior and I was like, even though we have separate homes, keeping the same rules in both homes helped
Mhm.
the boys with their transition back and forth, and help the boys realize that, like, parents are the parents and
Right.
we are the kids. And there was no triangulation. There was no, like, I can get away with this at dad's
Yeah.
and I can get away with this at mom's. And so this is what I'm going to do, kind of thing.
This
So,
Yeah, the amount of calls that happen where we're just like, "Hey, Monty said that you let him do this at your house," and I'm like, "What? No." Like, that has never happened. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but
uh,
no, that is not a thing at my house.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that happens all the time where,
Mm-hmm.
like, Monty or it's always usually Monty is just, like,
I
trying to
know.
play,
My
trying to get
baby.
away with something or
He's
trying
the
to
oldest. That's what
oh
happens.
gosh, but we have those calls all the time of like, "Hey, did
Mm-hmm.
you let him do this? This is what
Yes.
he's saying." And you're just like, "No,
No.
what are you?
Yes.
That is not what I said, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not what I'm gonna do. This is what I told him."
Right. Yeah.
Um,
And like the fact that we listen to each other, I can personally tell you that not every co-parenting relationship is like that. The kids will go and tell the other parent something, and that parent will just take that story at face value and be like, "Yep, that's exactly how your father showed up in my marriage, so of course he's going to do that." And I'm like, does that help anybody? Like, does that? It
yeah,
doesn't. And Junior could do the same thing. Like, yeah, that's how your mom was in our marriage. So I know, buddy,
yeah,
I know. Like, come on, like,
yeah.
let's not. So,
And it's funny you say that. I'm glad you brought that up because I know for me personally, that was something that I uh, took to heart was to never bash you or say anything about you in
mm-hmm,
front of the kids and really uh just in general like around my family. I didn't want to do it. I felt like the energy that it bring like would
mm-hmm,
just it just didn't help anything. It
mm-hmm,
didn't make anything better. It just
yeah,
created a environment of just like spite and
mm-hmm,
like and I didn't it was something I just did not want to participate in,
right.
especially in front of the boys. Like that was
Mm-mm.
something that was extremely important to me. Where I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about this in front of the kids.
No,
Um,
I was the same way. If my family wanted to say something, I would tell them, at least not do this in front of the boys. Like, let's not.
yeah,
Like, I would listen to their feedback because they had feedback. They had their 2 cents that they wanted to say. And I was like, I get it. Like, you kind of feel hurt too out of all of this, and so let's talk about this when the boys aren't around. And I feel like carrying on with that with the boys help the boys to realize that there wasn't, even if there was some sort of animosity between us, or um I don't know, hate between us, feelings between us. I don't know what you want to call
resentment,
it.
spite,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just
There you go.
all those bad juju energies.
Right. Even if that was there, I don't think the boys ever felt it. At least not to an extreme because my boys even this weekend we're like, let's all lay down together in the bed, and I'm like, I love you, but I'm gonna go lay down in my bed, and you guys have your sleepover. And so, like,
uh,
gave Ronnie Nux and was like, you're tapped in. And you know
hmm
what I mean, though? But there's not like for me as a child, I knew my parents couldn't even be in the same area, like regardless,
Yeah,
the same room. Like,
yeah.
forget that. If at drop off time, it was like, stay in your car, I'll stay in my house. Like Nessa will walk to and
And
fro because of
and
this.
sometimes that's necessary, right? If
Mm-hmm.
if like if maybe one party is not on board and cannot be amicable or isn't willing to explore more of a relationship, a co-parenting relationship that's healthy, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what's better. Maybe those boundaries are the things that are going to make things um more tolerable for the person who is more amicable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not totally understandable. Like if there's only one parent that's willing and able and like wanting it, um sometimes all you can do as that parent is just hold space, not feed
Right.
into the crap, and like,
Negativity. Yeah.
yeah, just create your boundaries and just
Mm-hmm.
wait till that other person's ready,
Yeah.
and hopefully they will be ready, and then you can start moving forward in a much healthier co-parenting way.
Yeah.
um because realistically, like, it's not going to always be like that.
Right.
um and it wasn't always like that too at times with us. It's just something, you know we each got to our points in time where we were just like, yeah, we're at a we're at a place where we're ready to kind of be more united.
Right.
um
Right.
So with that being said, let's hit our last little bit of takeaways. We had some little quick personal takeaways that we
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of just to wrap things up.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and go first with yours.
Yeah, so I had talked about like how I utilized my strengths that complemented our divorce. I am knowledgeable with children. I am knowledgeable in psychology and personal relationships. And so, with my background and with my education, every time I learned something new, I would bring it into our divorce. And so, that's one of the things that I feel complemented us, and helped us be stronger as co parents.
Yeah, I think something with that too. I think I had like a hyper awareness of our boys. I noticed every little thing with them. Like if something was bothering them or like their little emotional faces, and even to this day, I'm just like usually just very hyper aware of how they're reacting to something.
Hmm.
And I really try to utilize that to our benefit. Another takeaway for me was, uh, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but a big takeaway for me was during the divorce, even in marriage, like I knew I was a great father. I knew I wanted to be an amazing father. That was said and done, set in stone. That's what I'm going to be. I did not know who I was, what I value, what was most important to me other than that.
Hmm.
Um, so the divorce really gave me an opportunity to figure that out. Like I
Right.
had to figure it out. Otherwise, I was going to stay stagnant. I was not going to improve in my life. I wasn't going to be an amazing father for the boys. I wasn't going to be capable of doing that until I figured myself out. So I will say the divorce, maybe it wasn't like, maybe that's not what needed to happen for me to learn and go through that, but it did spark me um to start finding myself, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
um it
Yeah.
pushed me to really need to do that. So that was a really big key takeaway for me, um that
And
happened.
then, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I appreciate the person that you've grown into now, and that you allowed yourself to discover. yourself and look within yourself now. So I think everybody around you just benefits from it.
Mhm.
And we just love on you more when we get to see that person. So another takeaway that I had was you're human. And so, like I said, we tried not to argue in front of our kids. We tried to stay as amicable as possible. Um, and so when you have those moments of arguing, or if you have those moments where you're crying in front of your kids, you're angry in front of your kids, you're frustrated, like it's okay to show that in front of your children. Like let them see the hurt sometimes, otherwise your children don't get to learn how to overcome hard times themselves. And so you get to model that life sucks sometimes. Life throws curveballs at you, and show them how resourceful you can be, show them how resilient you can be, and show them how strong you are. We are all resilient people. And so I believe that humans are resilient, not children. And so show your children what resiliency looks like so that they can be resilient. And it starts with you. So
I agree.
hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
I got no more takeaways. That's all I got. Do
Oh,
you got
really?
anything else? Yeah.
No, I think for me, like the last thing I would say is how I remember this, and it is stuck to me to this day. And so I remember when Ronnie asked me for a divorce, we went to a therapist um, one last time, and he said, Nessa, you're resourceful and you will be okay. And I will never forget that. And he was 100% right. I was resourceful, and I got to discover how resourceful I can truly be. And for me, it was such a beautiful thing for him to say, and though this feels like the end of the world, you will be okay. And so that was something that I always try to share with others who are going through really rough times in their life, whether it be divorce or grief or loss or whatever that looks like. It feels like this is the end. And God will be there with you and to support you and to guide you and to push you forward. And sometimes you will surprise yourself on how resourceful and resilient a person can be. So that is my last thing. And so I feel like that
What
pretty
a way
much
to
wraps
end
up.
it. Damn. This is this is this was a deep episode.
I didn't cry. I'm proud of myself. I did not cry. I thought I was going to cry and I didn't. I smiled.
You could have cried. You could have
I know.
cried, and that would have been okay too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would. I mean, I'm okay with crying
Yeah.
now. Before I wasn't, but no, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was whew. That was whew. It was deep. Yeah, I got really I hope you guys out there that are listening appreciate this episode, because it is a lot of vulnerability for us,
Yeah.
and we've never done anything like this. So
Nope.
and it's for the world to listen to. So
I know.
um
And so our next episode will be out next Wednesday in a week. And so we look forward for you guys checking in with us online on Instagram. We'll be getting on TikTok here, and I
oh
have
shoot.
so many funny things lined up for us. And of course, send us messages on Instagram. Send us a shout out. Follow us. We are the Fairly Odd Co-Parents. I'm Nessa, and my co-host.
I'm Ronnie. And if you like the flow of this episode, can you please let me know? Give me some feedback on that, because because I'm curious on if it flowed a little better. So anyways,
Yeah.
so you want a dance party or what?
Let's do it. See y'all next time.